Hello and welcome to TLDR with two nerds and a truck. Today we are talking about Inverhuron Provincial Park.
So now we have been there twice, and both pretty much at the same time of year. I think our last trip was almost a year to the date of our second trip.
I think so.
So our first trip is kind of a blur for us, and I kind of predicted this at the end of our review that we did at the time, because what's the one thing you remember from Inverhuron last time?
Oh, the porcupine.
Yeah, right? So now we talk about the trails and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. But it's like, that porcupine. We'll talk more about the porcupine later. Anyways, we did not do a TLDR last time because it was before we started doing this. So we are going to talk all about Inverhuron today.
Let's dig in.
All right, so as far as the basics go, it's in Tiverton, Ontario. It's about 25 minutes away from McGregor Point Provincial Park. And last year also, we started off in McGregor Point and came to Inverhuron immediately after. So that's very convenient. It is a cultural heritage class park, and we can get into more about why that's the case later, because we do everything in sections, and we're very autistic in how we go our order. It has to be ordered. Logistically, both stays we booked online on the Ontario Parks website, as always. Last time I actually had to call ahead of time because I had some questions about something, and I made a note that it was very friendly service. Check-in is done inside a small building, but there's plenty of room inside it.
There actually is a window service there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, but there's parking, and for me, it was just easier to walk in and take a look at what they have anyway.
So, same as always, though, super easy to check in.
Yes.
Next up is map, signage, and website. This is where things got off the rails for me last time. So I'm an information nerd. I'm a maps nerd. I appreciate good cartography, and I appreciate consistency between information sources. That is not the case at Inverhuron. The website doesn't have much information on the park, and what it does have isn't always accurate. The big thing for me was the lack of information on the hiking trails. So on the park's website, it just says there's one trail, and there's no description. It was like, there's a hiking trail. It's like, okay. But on the same website, if you go to the map section and download their map, it's the same as the print map, where it actually has every trail listed with description, with a difficulty rating and everything. So they have the information right there on the website, just not where it should be. I mean, it should be on the map. That's fantastic, but just not under the trail section. So that's annoying.
Yep.
The park map itself, the print map that you get, is nice. It's a single page, two-sided. It's got maps of the overall park and just the campground area, and a bunch of information about the nuke site.
Yeah.
Which is another thing we'll get into in a bit. The only issue that I've got with the map is that there's a bunch of points of interest, coming back to the cultural heritage class park thing, that aren't listed on the map. So I think if the cultural heritage thing is the draw of the park, and if you've got these sites that are of interest, I think you should mark them on the park. So the locations of the sawmill site, the lookout, the former schoolhouse site, those are along the river trail. They're noted on a map at the trailhead for the river trail, but they're not on the paper map or the download map on the website. There's a little educational garden thing at the front that's not mentioned on the site or the map. And there's the lime kiln is mentioned on the trail description that trail's on, with kind of just a very vague description of where it is. And we went looking for it, and it's not a really obvious thing.
It's not.
So, and even when you get there, there's a sign that says, behind you is the lime kiln. And you look, and it's like, I don't know. We went down on the beach and everything. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a bit also. Half this post is going to be like, we'll get to that. But anyway, I feel like points of interest should be on a map. So that's an annoyance for me with that. The road signs are nice. They're high contrast, easy to see.
There's like a 4-way split at one point, and it's really clear about, here's this campground, here's the beach. It tells you all the information you need.
Yeah. The only issue I had with the signs is that when you're driving through the campground, there's nothing indicating where the comfort station is.
Okay.
So you actually have to happen upon it or know where you're going. Now there is the signage issue at the beach.
That's a weird one.
The signage at the beach is just, it's really weird. And I've never seen, no, you know what? At the time we wrote this last time, I'd never seen such weird messaging, but Pinery has some of the same weird messaging.
Okay.
But I think that's an accident. But anyway, so basically what the issue is at the beach at Inverhuron is that there's a bunch of signs that say you need to stay off the dunes because they're protected, fragile, etc. And then there's a couple big boardwalks that go up and over the dunes, which is how it looks like you're supposed to get to the beach. Because if you're not allowed on the dunes, obviously those boardwalks are going to safely take you over the dunes, right? Except they don't.
Right. And here's the thing. When you're driving in, if you're new, there's 2 giant parking lots. So you're like, cool, I'm here. And you grab the first parking lot and you park. And you're like, oh, there's the platform that's going to go to the beach.
It ends. It's just a platform. It's an overlook. And they both are overlooks, except for it looks like the one on the left that's closer to the change room. It looks like they're opening that up now, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But so anyways, yeah. So what you have to do is walk through the dunes to get to the beach. And there's not official. Like if you think, you know it, like, is it Pancake Bay? You have to go through the dunes. No, it's Sauble Beach. They've got like ropes that mark a path that is the path you go. There's nothing like that at Inverhuron. So you feel like you're doing something wrong by accessing the beach from the beach parking lot.
And you can clearly see that many people have been doing something wrong because there's a sign that says don't do this. And they're like, well, I need to get to the beach. So they do.
But there's a sign and there's a dog beach there, which we'll get to in a bit. But there's a sign for the dog beach pointing through the sand dunes to get to the dog beach. So it's honestly just really strange. But the other thing is that when you go up those platforms, you can't necessarily tell that they end. Like there's no sign at the front saying this is just a viewing platform.
There is, but
is there now?
Well, it's like a printed piece of paper that was laminated and posted probably 4 years ago because it's kind of tattered by now. So it technically does tell you that, but who's looking? This is like hip level.
I hope I don't sound nitpicky. It's just it's weird. It is weird to me. And then like with the Pinery thing is on the beach. I think it's P9 Beach. Is the P9 Beach? The one that's open in the winter.
Yeah.
Is that if you go up on that area that's an overlook, there's a sign that says, don't go out on the dunes. Right. And you can take a picture, because I took this picture because it was so ridiculous. You can take a picture of that sign with a picnic table like 4 feet behind it.
Yep.
So it's like, don't go on the dunes, but here's a picnic table.
Yes.
So weird. Anyway, what can you tell me about waste and water services here? Because I could rant about signs all day.
So it's a little weird. They've got it split up. When you're coming in, you've got the registration and check-in. And if you stay to the right, that's where the trailer fill station is. And they've got 3 different spots you can stop all in one lane. There's no bypass here.
With 4 platforms in those 3 spots.
So yeah, 3 of them are on the driver's side because most of us have our fill on the driver's side, and there's 1 on the passenger side. So there's a little sign telling you to take the available opening as far up as you can, or however it's phrased. And I can imagine that gets a little backed up sometimes just because it's 1 lane with no bypass. But on the other hand, it's really cool that they have all those posts there, so you're not just waiting in line. I can't see more than 2 trailers going at the time, though. Like I don't think 2 trailers could fit in there. I think 2 trailers might fit if the first driver is very conscientious and has a small trailer. But like, I don't get the point of 4 fill platforms with a space for maybe 2. Well, it depends what kind of rigs are going in there, because we've got a motorhome where the fill's at the front, and then we also have a towed vehicle, so we're very long behind us. Whereas a lot of people are the opposite. They might have a pickup with the trailer and they're filling near the rear end of it. And so depending on how you're situated.
Yeah, but that's totally depending on like who gets in first. Because if someone with a pickup truck gets in first, then that's fine. But if someone with a pickup truck comes in second, then one person's filling.
Yep.
You're right. It's a weird setup.
It's odd, but it works. They have water. They are threaded fittings, and you're good to go.
Yeah. So then dump station.
The dump station is on the way out.
Kind of just right across from it.
Yeah. And that one...
2 lanes, no bypass, 4 dump platforms.
Right. So it's really odd to see 4 dump spots in a park this size. Again, I'm all for it. Hey, more parks need more of these facilities.
Well, yeah, contrast it with Pinery that's got like 2 platforms and
Yeah, 1,000 sites.
bazillion sites. Like,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, it might be overkill, but good for them.
Yeah. Cell phone connection.
Well, we are on Rogers Wireless, and we have been kind of struggling.
At the site.
At the site,
At
yes.
the site. The site is pretty terrible for internet, which we knew because it was pretty terrible last year also.
Right.
And we picked the same site, which we'll get to in a bit.
Well, what can you tell me about accessibility?
Oh my God. Okay. So this is one of those ones that I'm really annoyed with. I am mostly mobile during our, like I think both times we were here, I've been mostly mobile, so it hasn't affected me directly. However, having been profoundly disabled at times, I get very annoyed on behalf of other people when I see stuff that it just doesn't need to happen, So each of the comfort stations that we've had access to, because we don't have access to the one in Gunpoint. Why on earth? Gunpoint Campground. I don't know. It's GUNN, like a name. It's kind of odd. Anyway, we'll get to that campground in a bit. So there's several comfort stations, which we are going to talk about in a bit. But there's one that's between. So there's one in the cabins area. There's one between the cabins area and Holmes Bay Campground. And there's one between Holmes Bay and Lime Kiln Campground. Those are the ones that we have access to on the times we've stayed. Now, of those, the cabins comfort station has an accessible shower and an accessible washroom. And it's the most accessible for getting up to it, except for there's no parking there. I don't understand why there's no parking there. The one between the cabins and the Holmes Bay Campground has an accessible shower and an accessible washroom. It is mostly barrier-free to get up there if you're coming from the campground side, but if you're coming from the cabin side, you kind of have to take a little gravelly, rough road that says authorized vehicles only if you want to get from there to the comfort station, because the path up there is absolutely not wheelchair accessible. Now, the thing with this one is there's no parking at the comfort station.
Right.
Like, I'm not even saying that there's no barrier-free, spots of the spots. There's no parking available at this. So you have to go there from your campsite, which is going to be inconvenient if you're anywhere not near there. I feel like for a comfort station to be accessible, they should have parking.
Yes.
The third comfort station that we've had access to during our stays is the one between the Holmes Campground and the Lime Kiln Campground. This one only has one barrier-free shower, and I didn't see any of the washrooms marked as being barrier-free. The shower is on the far side of the building from the parking lot. So there's no paved path to get up to it. It's up a little hill, and you have to take a kind of a rough, gravelly path to get up there, and then get up over the lip of the apron. I think it's called the apron, just the sidewalk that surrounds the comfort station, to get up to there to get to the washroom. So I don't find that very accessible. For someone like me that is not a wheelchair user, it's okay. The land going up that hill, if I was having a bad tendon day, I would not really have a good time with it,
I feel like they could have just paved down to the parking area. It wouldn't have been much more work.
And that's the thing. For each of these, that little road that says authorized parking only, just put an accessible spot there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that would make it so much more accessible. Because when I'm having a bad tendon day, like if I were a tent camper and not an RV, like I would not be able to use the comfort station. Like, I don't know where they don't have their accessible sites on the map as far as I saw. I don't think. No, they don't. So I don't know where people would stay, but like if it's not right next to it, that's not cool.
Yep.
It's not cool Inverhuron. So anyway, beyond the comfort station situation, the beach up till now has been not wheelchair accessible at all. If you have mobility issues without a wheelchair, you're probably best off accessing the beach via the boat launch area and the dog beach area versus the actual beach parking.
Right.
Just because the beach, to get from the beach parking over to the beach, it's a deep hill of sand. I have a really hard time with that with my foot tendon issues. And I can't imagine doing that in crutches or a boot or anything. if you're in a wheelchair right now, and as of our last trip, there's no wheelchair accessible way to enter the beach, like whether it's from the beach area or the boat launch area. Now, as of the April 2025 visit that we had, the boardwalk platform that's closest to the comfort station, so like the left side if you're looking at the beach from the parking lot, it has an extension ramp that's being built on it. It looks nice. Like they built
it's really nice.
A wraparound kind of ramp going all the way down to the beach. So that's actually going to give people access that doesn't make them go through the the sand dunes. Also. Now right now it's kind of barricaded off at the end. I'm assuming they're going to be finishing that off probably before the summer, and I would imagine that they're going to add a Moby mat at the end of it, because it seems kind of silly to build a ramp unless they're not doing it for accessibility. I suppose they could just be doing it for people to access the beach.
Well, it is definitely ramped for a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
I really, I really hope they do something, whether it's a platform where you can hang out, with some picnic tables, or a Moby mat, or both.
Yeah, but the rest of the accessibility issues in this park are not, they're a little nonsensical. So if they end up doing this as just access for people to get over the dunes. Anyway, as far as the trails go, the part of the chain trail that backs onto all the websites. Ugh, I spend too much time online. That backs onto the campsites is mostly wheelchair accessible when you can get onto it. A lot of the campsites do have little paths to get out there. None of those are wheelchair accessible, and honestly most of them are pretty difficult if you've got any kind of mobility issue at all. You can enter that path over by the comfort station that's between the cabins area and the Holmes Bay, and I think there's a couple other little spots that you can get into it from the other campgrounds. The thing is that only goes kind of wheelchair accessible for so far. When you get around, I think it's the south side of Gun Point, it gets very rough and hilly and uneven, and it's not, I feel like I'm not doing it justice with that, but basically it gets not wheelchair accessible at some point. None of the other trails are wheelchair accessible. The river trail, I actually didn't have that much of a hard time with it last time, and I wasn't doing the best. So, but it's not wheelchair accessible, like I said. Whew, okay, so you know what? I'm going to talk about those more in depth when we actually go to the hiking trails, because I'm going to just have to describe the hiking trails.
Sure.
I'm going to take a break. What are you going to tell us about pets?
Well, there's a dog beach here. It's right next to the main beach, but you actually access it from the boat launch. So you can park over in the parking at the boat launch, walk down, and you can, because it's a lot lower, you can get right to that beach area. Dogs are required to be on a leash when they're not in the water. And of course, the standard Ontario Provincial Parks rules of don't let them harass people or wildlife and clean up after them.
Yeah, there's been a lot of cute dogs here.
There has.
I didn't notice many this time, but last time there was like just this crazy abundance of cute dogs.
Yep.
So parking, all the sites are huge and have tons of parking. Like as far as the sites that we've had access to go, because each site, and we'll get into this in a bit, is mostly set back from the road. So there's plenty of parking for whatever size you've got. But I've seen there's plenty of parking at there's a picnic shelter and the beach and everything. There's tons of parking at the beach.
Yeah.
It almost seems like more parking than the beach would need. That kind of makes me horrified to think of what the beach must look like in the summer.
That's a good point.
The boat launch has less parking though, which was interesting. I didn't see a lot of room for trailers or anything, but I don't know that I'd want to bring a big boat down there, and we will get into that in a bit. That's going to be a running theme. We should just call this TLDR Inverhuron. Back to it in a bit. Put a pin on that one. Okay, so miscellaneous stuff. So, what do you want to tell us about the orientation of the park?
Well, the beaches on the Holmes Bay and the Lime Kiln campgrounds are pretty much directly facing west, so great for sunsets.
Really, really nice for sunsets. We've seen some gorgeous sunsets here. Definitely
some beautiful ones there. I don't know how much of the north view you can get it for Aurora Borealis, but if you have a great show, of course, anywhere in the north-ish direction is going to be good for that. So always good to be on a beach for that.
So then there's the nuke. There's the nuke plant.
Yes, there is a nuclear power plant.
Yeah, so that's a weird one. So it shares a border. The park shares a border with this nuke plant.
Yep.
And there's a fence running along that side of the park and all the way leading up to the park with signs that have a silhouette of army guys, and it says patrolled by armed guards.
Yes.
Which is weird. It's a weird vibe.
It's really weird to be walking down a trail next to this fence and just kind of seeing these signs, and it pulls you out of that. You know, you're obviously you want to walk in the forest and see wildlife, and all of a sudden you're like, I could run into an armed guard on the other side of this fence. This is weird.
Being back in Minneapolis.
but the fence ends at the beach.
Oh yeah, and it just trusts you to not go over.
Yeah, no, so there's great fence to really prevent you from going over unless you're really determined. But you can literally just walk around it on the beach. Okay.
I hope you're paying attention, because if you're just like strolling up the beach and you're looking at the waves and you're looking for the ducks and whatever, you could totally walk right past that.
Yes.
And not even notice. So that's kind of messed up. Then as far as the beach goes with this nuke plant, our first day, okay, so there's a public warning siren over by the cabins. Now it's a public warning siren number 1, so I'm assuming there's more of them through here, but I haven't seen any.
Well, on the drive-in, we saw one. Yes.
I missed that. Okay. Anyway, I remember the first trip that we were here. We went out to watch the sunset, and it was beautiful, but then there were just weird noises coming from over by the plant.
Yep.
And it sounded like a helicopter. Like, it was very plainly a helicopter, but it sounded like the sound of a helicopter being broadcast. Like, it sounded like a radio transmission of a helicopter and someone yelling over a loudspeaker. So I don't know if they were running some kind of drill or something. There were no helicopters in the air. Like, we could see everything. It was very, very clear.
Yeah.
It was just, it was surreal. Like, it felt like something out of a movie, and it was odd because we're there in this beautiful sunset overlooking Lake Huron, you know, everyone's chilling, and then just like something out of, I don't know, Walking Dead.
It did seem a little weird and kind of like, oh, well, I hope those sirens don't go off soon.
Well, I've never been able to, because I've tried to walk myself through like what would be going on that they would broadcast the sound of a helicopter, right? And the only thing I can come up with, and it's so dramatic, and I'm sure it's something much more plain than this, is like, I wonder if someone crossed into their property and that's their alarm is like, play the sound of a helicopter and people yelling at you, you know what I mean, to get out. Maybe someone took a walk on the beach. I don't know. It was weird. It is a weird thing for provincial parks. Now, I gotta say, like, I'm saying this is weird and whatever, but that one trail that you took, it's not that much of a trail, right? And like, you can very easily, you can be in Inverhuron Provincial Park and pretty much ignore that there's a nuke plant there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's this big overwhelming thing. It's just, you know, when you're sitting on the sunset, watching the sunset, and there's broadcast helicopter noise, it's weird.
It was also kind of amusing to me that we actually lost power yesterday for a few hours.
Yeah.
We were right next to the power plant. It's like, oh, okay, I guess.
But what was really interesting is when the power went out, I went to go look up the power situation, and the website has all the coverage area, and Inverhuron Provincial Park was excluded from the coverage area. So it was this big section of the area was covered, and then Inverhuron was like very plainly cut out from it. So I don't know
who services the power
here.
Huh.
Because it was very distinctly, the park is not under the service map. So I don't know. But anyway, let's get to those comfort stations that we said we would talk about later.
Yeah, so there's 4 of them total. I think you mentioned there was one in with the cabins when you talked about accessibility, and then one in each of the campground areas, right?
Well, sort of. There's one in between the cabins and Holmes Bay, one between Holmes Bay and Limekiln, and then one between Limekiln and Gunpoint. Now, the one between Limekiln and the one between Limekiln and Gunpoint, we haven't ever seen because those 2 campgrounds are closed off while we camp in April.
Yes.
So there's also, I mean, like I said, they're not super accessible, but they exist. They seem to be in decent shape.
Yep.
They all have shower facilities and flush toilets. And then the two kind of in the interior of the campground area, so between Holmes Bay and Limekiln, and the one between Limekiln and Gunpoint, also have laundry facilities. There's also vault toilets throughout the park. There's also a comfort station that's like, I think it's just showers and toilets. Or maybe it's just toilets and change rooms over in the parking for the beach area, so it's for the swimmers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a mouthful.
Yep.
So what can you tell me about the park store?
So that main gate building has got a small park store in it. They've got the usual stuff like ice and wood and some souvenirs, ice cream, which I love to pick up when we stop in, stuffed animals. The wood was very wet when we bought some last year.
Oh, the sizzling, I remember that.
Yeah.
Like the hissing, yeah, that's wet wood.
Honestly, that's really common at Ontario provincial parks. So just plan on having extra fire starters and letting it go for a while to boil the water out of the wood.
Yeah. And you can see our website for tips on how to make your own fire starters. You should probably link that in the post. Yep. Link. Ding. Anyway, so there is no visitor center at this park, by the way, but there are educational signage and points of interest throughout the park, which we will get to later. What do you want to say about the day use area?
So when you're going to that main beach area, if you take a right, there's a day use area that's got like picnic tables and stuff over there. It's honestly a little weird that you just kind of take the side road and this is kind of off to the side and not, how do I want to say this?
Not an attraction.
Yeah, you almost have to kind of it is a bit of an afterthought. It's just like, here's some space to do this. So it's fine. It's not like, it's uninviting. It's just...
The picnic shelter is cute. I think it probably has a view of the lake from where it is.
Okay.
And it's got a big wooden, like, charcoal oven inside.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time we'd seen one at the parks. Like, we've seen them since, but that was, it's pretty cool. It stood out.
Yes.
So rental items.
Yeah, if you need a PFD or flotation device, you can borrow one at the main gate, and they also have the tackle share programs.
That's a really cool program.
Yep. You can also rent trailer storage, so if you're going to be doing some boating during the operating season.
Where do they do that?
I have not seen where they park them.
I don't even know where that would be. Maybe they park them in Gunpoint.
Maybe they dump them in the power plant.
Anyway, okay, so now we'll get to the campground details. So there are 3 campgrounds: Gunpoint Campground, Holmes Bay Campground, and Limekiln Campground. Limekiln. I can speak English. Anyway, we stayed in Holmes Bay, which is a relatively new campground on both of our stays. The other 2 campgrounds weren't operating, as I'd mentioned, so we don't really have a whole lot of information about them.
Yep.
Gunpoint seems to be all electrical sites. Limekiln seems to be a mix of hydro and non-hydro sites, though.
Okay.
And then ours, I can't remember what ours are. They're probably all electric, eh?
Everything that I have seen seems to be.
Yeah, they're all electric in this one. So, like I said, the sites are back from the road quite a bit. So, but it's kind of weird because you'd think thered be a lot of privacy, but there's kind of not also, because you can see clear through to the other campsites, front to back, and kind of off to the sides. We had a weird issue our first time. Someone biked right through our campsite.
Yeah.
Like, they're all obvious campsites. It's not like we were next to a comfort station or something. It's like, this is it's a path back from the road to a campsite. And someone just rode their bike right through because we have those little personal trails to go to the main trail there. So it was odd. I've never seen that happen.
It was. So yeah, the road, like, we have to back our car in pretty far, which is kind of great for privacy, but it is a straight shot, like you said. And the row behind us are all pull through, and those are also straight shots. So had they curved it a little bit, it would have given you a little more feeling of privacy.
I feel like, so what I'd say is you don't have visual privacy, but you have physical privacy.
Yes.
You don't have anyone kind of up in your business, but they can see it.
Yep.
The actual camping area, though, like the little bulb area where you camp, is more thickly surrounded by trees than the drive up to it, though. So there's a bit of privacy in the actual site itself. And then one thing to note is that the pedestals are all up by the road, and that long drive means that aren't they all by the road? I thought the pedestals are all on the road.
Ours was kind of far away, but within reach of our normal court.
The park is known for having like a fair distance from the camping area for your cords to bring extension cords.
And the trees are mostly cedar and pine. Mm-hmm. So even when you're in the April right now, when the leaves haven't really come out, it's still obscuring a lot of the view, which is nice.
Now the pine is, we should mention that both times when we got here, it was kind of wet when we got here. And the pine smell is amazing. Now, if you don't like pine smell, probably not the park for you. It was very, very potent. Like it was nice. It was very fresh. If you don't like pine, it is going to be an issue. Now, the cool thing is that the most, if not all of the campgrounds, the campsites that back onto the chain trail have like private little trails, like rough trails through the campsites to the trail. Now, I don't know if those are intended by the park or if those have just been worn down over time from people just kind of cutting through, but they're there. It's one of the first things we noticed about our site is that you can see clear through. It's really cool. Like I can tell you, oh, there's big waves out there right now, or oh, I just saw a Merlin hunting, which we'll talk about in a bit.
we'll get to later.
We'll get to later. Yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about that. There's cabins though.
Yeah, there's a line of cabins on their own road. They're all pretty cool. It's fairly private drive. Like it doesn't exclude other people, but other people don't really have a reason to go down there. So the cabins are on the right side of the road as you're driving down there, and there's a rocky beach,
like a private beach too. They've got gorgeous view as you're going down there.
Exactly. So you're sharing that beach with like 10 cabins or however many there are, something like that.
And the beach is accessible via little trails from that main road, and they seem to be really frequently placed along. Because if you're driving that, you can see through often. Whew, okay, now we'll get to the hiking. So you've done more of the hiking here because a lot of the trails are longer than I've been able to do for my tendon situation while we've been camping. So the chain trail is one that we've both done. It's a 4-kilometer long trail. It kind of goes all the way around the campsite area and by the cemetery, which we'll get to in a bit.
I feel like we should stop saying that.
Well, now it's just funny. I'm amused, but I amuse easily, I guess. So anyways, it's this 4-kilometer long trail, and it's kind of varied. Like I've only really done the part that goes behind the campsites, and it basically splits the campgrounds from the beach, or not the beach, but from the lake, right? Yeah. So that's it's like flat pack gravel, very even, very flat. When you get down around the gunpoint, the trail gets more rough. Yeah, not a whole lot to say. It's got some nice views and everything. It's just you overlook this rocky beach. There's a few little areas that you can kind of step out via little trails. That's where you go for like the really nice sunsets. The lime kiln is on there, apparently. And then you actually took a jog on the other part of the chain trail that kind of goes out past the
power plant,
the cabins and the power plant, and that's where you're talking about the signs.
Right. I did enjoy it, except for the weird, surreal part that was next to the fence, which is not the whole way. So it was a lovely trail.
Kind of like the barbed wire fence at where is that, Rondo?
Yeah.
That's just kind of odd, Yeah. So, anyways, on the chain trail, you passed it was hay dump rake on the side of the trail, and there's some signage talking about the history. Again, not on the map, no mention of it anywhere on the map. I don't even think it was in the description for the trail. It's just you happen upon this thing, which I feel like if there's points of interest, I said this earlier, if there's points of interest, they should be on the map. Because to me, it's like, if I have a choice between two trails and I know one's got a bunch of educational stuff on it, like I want to know that as information for making my choice. You know what I mean? Because I have to budget my mobility. So,
right. No, I agree. The only contradiction of that is it's a hay rake, so it's just a piece of old farm equipment that's not that big of a deal.
But still, there's the signage.
Yes.
The signage talking about its history and stuff like that, So this trail, we said we'd get into about the accessibility. So this trail, most of it is kind of somewhat wheelchair accessible along the campground, and beyond that, not so much. So the offshoot trails to the lake are not wheelchair accessible at all, and most are quite difficult if you've got any kind of mobility issue, and I definitely wouldn't want to do them in a boot or with a cane or crutches or anything like that. The Maloney Trail, you did, that's the one it's a kilometer, but it's an offshoot trail. It's not a trail by itself. So it says it's a kilometer, but you have to walk something like 2 to 3 kilometers in order to get to it.
Right. So yeah, that's got the Maloney Homestead on it, which there's not a ton to see if I remember correctly. This one, it kind of felt like a logging trail. It had kind of a weird vibe to it, but not unpleasant. I remember enjoying it.
I think we're saying weird too much in this review.
All right. It had a bit of a different vibe to it, not unpleasant. Yeah. It was enjoyable, but it kind of felt like a logging road.
So this one was not wheelchair accessible, but could be doable with a cane or a boot, assuming it's not too muddy at the time.
Yes.
So River Trail is one that we've both done. We both did this together last trip, and then you did it alone this trip, and then we visited kind of the front end of it a couple times since in the same trip.
Yep.
So that's supposed to be the most challenging of the trails, and it's 3 kilometers of moderate to difficult. I don't know who ranks these things.
Yeah.
So I wasn't having a great time with my tendons the first time I was able to do it. I just think about stuff like Agawa Park. Do you remember the pictographs trail?
I do.
That's supposed to be moderate. Yeah. And the second half of that's supposed to be, that's supposed to be moderate. That was
intense.
That was intense. Yeah. And then here, this was supposed to be moderate to difficult. And I'd say it was easy to moderate because most of it was easy. And then there were a couple areas that went up a bit of hill. But yeah, I wasn't having a good foot or knee day the first time. And I'd just say that the first half of it was moderate and the second half was easy. And the difficulty is just basically there's some hills.
Exactly.
And not even like huge hills or super steep hills. It was just some hills.
Yep. You see a little section where it elevates a few meters over, tens of meters, and then maybe comes back down again. It's nothing massive.
Yeah, and it's a cute trail. It takes you through different kinds of forest, and you walk along the Little Sauble River, and there's a bunch of outlooks along the way. There's the site of an old sawmill, and there's signage to talk about that, but you don't really have anything to see there.
Right.
Beyond the signage. About halfway, the trail changes vibe. So you come out of all this forest and river and all that, and it's just this wide, flat, sandy trail. And you can see houses as part of it. And I don't remember if it was Pokemon or what, but I looked at some kind of map as we're on this trail, and it said that we were next to a fish and chip place. You know what I mean? It's just, it was kind of odd being on a trail and seeing that, we've got a fish and chip place 200 meters away or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That one's not wheelchair accessible, and I probably wouldn't recommend doing it with any kind of mobility aid beyond like an ankle brace. I think I was actually wearing an ankle brace that time. If you're doing the easy half only, so basically you walk in straight and then there's a loop, right? So if you turn to the left and take the loop clockwise, you are starting out with the more difficult. If you just go straight and take the loop counterclockwise, that's the easy part. The easy part is kind of meh in terms of like view. So I don't know that and it's sandy also. So if you're having some kind of difficulty, and I don't know how it would be for wheelchairs, but it is the easier part. So I'd skip it. Like if you're going to do the easy part, you're missing all the good stuff. So it's not really a reason to.
And the signage is good because there's a couple little branch offs, and there's very clear signage of this is the way you want to go. So I did appreciate the trail blazing and marking was really good.
Yeah, but if you're just doing the easy half, it should be good with most mobility aids. Like I don't know that it's wheelchair accessible, but
yeah.
So the next trail is the Tulip Trail. You did this one.
Yep.
It's listed as half kilometer, but that's a straight shot. So if you're starting somewhere and you need to come back there, it's a kilometer long.
Right. So this is it's really close to the road, but yet you're far enough in that it's actually pretty dark in there. And I remember it going up and down a lot, and just small hills. Like you go up 2 meters and you come down and up and down. If I was on a bike, it might be kind of fun, but as for walking, it was a little bit annoying. unfortunately, this time of year, the tulips are not in bloom, so I didn't.
They're not tulips; they're tulip trees.
The tulip trees. Sorry, the tulip trees are bare, so I didn't get to really see much of a view. It was just bare trees, but there were a lot of blue jays in there, if I recall.
Oh, were there? Okay. So that one we had said that because the hills are rolling and some are steep, that you wouldn't recommend it in crutches. A cane might be difficult. A boot might be doable, assuming it's not too wet or muddy at the time. I haven't done that one. Honestly, you didn't sell it for me last time when you were talking about the rolling hills, because I just thought there's no way I'm going to be able to do that.
Yep.
So anyways, cycling. The site says that there's one shared use trail for cycling. Okay. And we assume it means the chain trail.
Yep.
Okay. On the map, the only trail that says, or there's two trails that say biking prohibited. There's River Trail and Maloney Trail, right?
Yes.
Tulip Trail doesn't designate anything about cycling, but Chain Trail says it's got times for walking versus biking. So I'm assuming they mean the Chain Trail. Clarity would be lovely. So anyways, the key here being River Trail prohibits biking.
And that one is clear.
That is clear. It is big words, biking prohibited. Okay. Guess where the only place we've ever seen bikes on in the park is? Both trips, the only time I've ever seen anyone cycling is on the River Trail. That's bizarre.
But several times.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about the biking is that apparently the most popular place in the park is one of the two places you're not allowed to bike. So
there you go.
Swimming.
So the beach area is rather long. Like we noted earlier, a lot of parking down there, interesting access. The beaches in general, the shoreline in general is very rocky.
Not at the beach, though.
Right. The beach area is a lot sandier and a lot nicer.
Now, it was beautiful last time. This time, it's very full of debris. There's a lot of driftwood and just general debris there.
I'm assuming they clean it up.
There was a lot of seaweed there last time, too, actually, as I remember. Okay. But this time, it was a lot of driftwood. So I'm assuming it gets cleaned up before, like, swimming season, because this is known to be, like, a swimming park. So.
Yeah.
But other than that, the sand itself was really soft and there wasn't like garbage or big rocks or anything like that. The waters looked really shallow, and I imagine it's really nice if you make it out past the seaweed.
Yeah.
So there's a small comfort station in the main beach. I think it's just washrooms, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, and we talked about the boardwalks going over to the endpoints. So anyways, we've got birding, wildlife, and nature is the next section we talk about.
Yep.
Last time we had a couple unique experiences. The first being Stu.
Stu is a character. So Stu is a ruffed grouse.
A completely psychotic ruffed grouse.
Very assertive, guarding his, but I presume to be his home.
We thought he liked us to start because we were driving down the road and all of a sudden there's this bird flying with us right outside of your window.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was like racing you or something. Like it was cute. But no, he tried to hit the car. He hit the car several times.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to pick a fight with a moving vehicle from behind. So That was weird.
I was kind of afraid to drive at one point because I was turning the corner by the boat launch and he was like trying to prevent me from going. And he was right by the wheels. And I'm like, come on. I'm just inching forward like, come on.
Well, he played chicken with us. He got on the ground and he played chicken with the car, charged us. Yeah. And like, yeah, it was weird. And then we got down to the boat launch and we had to warn a woman that was walking.
Yeah.
Stu chased her. And then we stood by the boat launch and we talked to two women and they'd already had a run-in with Stu and they're the ones that told us Stu's name. And then we all kind of stood there and watched Stu go after, what are those park vehicles? Those like little
four-wheelers.
Little four-wheelers.
Yeah.
He was like playing chicken with that. And I don't know what the park employee was doing, but he drove off and Stu flew after it and hit it. Like just rammed it from behind. This is a little like a funky little chicken. And he just.
Yeah.
Now that was bizarre.
That was last year. We didn't see Stu this year.
I don't think Stu's around. There's no way that bird lasted a year behaving like that.
I could understand that, but we did see more ruffed grouse this year. So
yes, and one of them, we figure, Stu's less than intelligent genes live on.
Mm.
Because as we were entering the park,
Yep.
ruffed grouse, I keep saying ruffled, it's ruffed, isn't it?
Yes.
Walks right out in front of us, out
Yep.
of nowhere, stops right in front of your wheel as you're moving. This is an RV, like we can't stop it on a dime or anything.
Yeah.
And we didn't hit him, but man, I think he wanted us to, because that was a death wish. Not a smart bird. Anyway, before, like when we were here and seeing Stu, we didn't actually know much about birds, so we didn't actually do much birding.
Yep.
Last time. Now this time, and also we were on this weird streak leading up to our trip last time where we just didn't see anything beyond like chickadees at a whole bunch of parks leading up to this.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of followed suit here, that all we saw was a few wild turkeys, a ton of blue jays, some chickadees, and that was it. There were some mergansers out on the lake that we couldn't see close up. There's a loon, a mallard, some other kind of duck, and we think cormorants. So this time around, now you've got a better camera.
Yep.
We've got identification apps and everything. So we had a much better time. We started it out with a deck entry.
Yeah, we pulled in, and I was just setting things up, and I could hear a bird that I didn't recognize, so I turned on the Merlin app
to identify a
Merlin. And I came in to show you right away, because I'm like, hey, there's a Merlin in the area. It turns out there were a lot of Merlin in the area.
We think. I don't know.
Or
there's probably two at least.
There's at least two based on where I can hear them from, and they are around quite a bit, so I'm guessing there are more.
There's at least one that loves our campsite area. Being here, he was there the entire trip, pretty much. Yep. Like, you could very reliably go out to the campsite road, and I'd say half the time you were seeing. We should name him.
We should.
Lancelot. I don't know. I think, what's in the Merlin story?
I don't know.
Is Merlin from Lancelot? I don't know. I don't follow.
We'll call him Bob.
Bob. Okay. Sounds good. Anyway, those Merlins are kind of nuts.
They are. They're really screechy, and they're flying around. And
no, I'm talking about the turkey vulture incident.
I know. We were down by the boat launch, saw a turkey vulture flying around, and something going after it.
I thought it was like a red-winged blackbird or something small.
Yeah, I was going to guess blue jay, because blue jays are jerks. And I started taking some photos and filming it, and I'm like, oh, that's a Merlin attacking a turkey vulture.
I didn't know. I guess I know turkey vultures are huge, but the difference on that photo and those videos was wild.
Yeah.
Like the fact that this bird looked, I mean, if you saw it from a distance, you would think it was like a red-winged blackbird or something tiny like that. And Merlins are significantly bigger than red-winged blackbirds, right?
Yeah, they are.
So
they were pretty far away, so you know.
But still, the size difference was crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I when we were watching that, we were at the boat launch area, which is where we had seen Stu go after the park vehicle. So I feel like when we were watching this Merlin go after this turkey vulture, I felt the spirit of Stu was with us.
Fair enough.
Anyway. Beyond the Merlin, we heard or saw a ton of birds, mostly around the start of that
the river trail.
Yeah, because we kept going back to the river trail because there's so much activity like right around that bridge area. So anyways, what did we see? And I'm going to have to interrupt you because you're working with a different list than me now. So you start going and I'll just jump in.
So we've seen or heard
American redstart.
And American robin. Bald eagle. Actually, I got some great footage of that.
Belted kingfisher?
Yes, we did. Black-capped chickadee. Blue jay.
Chipping sparrow.
Common loon.
Dark-eyed junco.
Eastern phoebe. Greater scaup. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I always call it scaup. Merlin. Northern...
Nashville warbler.
You beat me to it. All right. Northern flicker. We saw a couple of those. Mm-hmm. Palm warbler. Pine warbler, red-breasted merganser, quite a few of those out there. Mm. Ruby-crowned kinglet, ruffed grouse, we already told you about Stu. Song sparrow.
Well, we've seen a couple of those now. We saw two different ones during our second trip.
Turkey vulture, we told you about that as well. White-throated sparrow, I really like those because they've got the beard to kind of look like Santa Claus sparrows. Yellow-rumped warbler.
They were cute. There were so many of them.
Yeah, and yellow warbler.
We made it through it without killing each other. Look at that.
Right.
For other wildlife,
dun, dun, dun.
As I said, we would get back to it.
Yep.
So we were out watching the sunset.
Yes.
And we came back to our site. So we were walking along the chain trail there, and we went up that little path that goes to our site. Now, my husband was right ahead of me. He stopped dead in his tracks and squeaked. You squeaked. And you pointed. It's like you could not speak. Like you looked utterly like dumbfounded and could not speak. Pointed ahead of you, about 10 feet ahead of you, and there was the cutest little chunk of a porcupine right there, like right in front of you.
And he was waddling my way.
Like right at you, like barreling towards you. It was so cute. And I didn't know so they have poor eyesight, right? And you apparently couldn't speak at this point, aside from squeaking. So, yeah. So I don't know if he was walking because now you people watching this video, you have to understand that my husband is Cat Jesus, and he is known as Snow White. He is known as a Disney princess. All of our friends say he's a Disney princess. Animals will come up to him without fail, except birds. Birds know you're Cat Jesus, I think. But anyway, so I don't know if this porcupine was coming up to you because you're Snow White, or if he just couldn't see you because you couldn't speak. So I let him get pretty close to you, and then I knew damn well that if he took even a few more steps, you were going to pet the little guy.
I would pet the guy.
And I didn't want that to happen, so I ended up speaking up so that he knew, like, I didn't yell at him or anything, but I raised my voice a little bit so he knew that there were people there, and then he kind of toddled off.
I will give him belly rubs if I see him again.
I know you would, and I know you were looking for him, but he was awfully cute.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we also saw a bunch of butterflies. And I think that was it for wildlife here.
I think it was.
Yeah. So there were a lot of flowers last time and there weren't this time. Like I remember there were a lot of cherry bushes, and there were cherry bushes like on the beach. There were cherry trees along the campground road. I think they were cherries. They might have been apples.
Okay.
And then there were violets growing along the road. And I saw a ton of trillium flowers, which I didn't see this time. Did you?
I didn't notice any.
Yeah, there were a bunch of them, and I saw forget-me-nots, and I think this was the first time I'd ever seen forget-me-nots.
I forgot.
Par for the course with you. Anyway, boating.
There's kind of a boat launch.
You love that boat launch.
Okay, so there's a boat launch, but there's the, like, I want to call it a pier next to it.
It's not the sketchiest one we've seen.
Oh, pretty close.
It's no. Killbear.
I knew you were going to go to Killbear. I knew that.
Well, of course, because Killbear that is a sketch fest of a boat launch.
So they constructed it out of those large concrete blocks. And I'm sure that was a great frugal way to construct this pier, but time has not done it well. They did not create an adequate foundation because it is crumbling. I
think it's aesthetic. I think they went for like this ancient Rome thing.
But they didn't build...
I choose to feel this way, Porter.
Nobody built ancient Rome. They built modern Rome that turned ancient. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying. It's got character.
It does.
So anyway, yeah.
Use it at your own risk.
So we saw people using it, and they didn't seem to take all that long to use it. And there was no screaming or yelling or swearing or anything, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Right.
I personally would not want to drive something down there, but maybe they are more confident and stuff like that.
Well, for the actual boat launch, it seemed pretty safe. It's just that structure next to it.
The one we kept walking out on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go on a windy day like we did.
I don't think it would fall. Anyway, so apparently that whole like bay area is popular for like paddle boarding and windsurfing and water skiing and stuff, and I haven't seen any of it. So, and if you're into canoeing and kayaking, the park recommends Saugeen River, and that is also where they recommended for canoeing and fishing when we were at McGregor was Saugeen. Now we did see fishing on the shore and in the boats. So we saw boats out on that bay. And in Inverhuron the first time, but we didn't see any fish. Like I didn't see anyone fishing this time around.
Right.
So the boat launches, it allows you access to Lake Huron, and you can fish out on there. Apparently, you can get bass, brown trout, lake trout, pickerel, salmon, and rainbow trout. In terms of fishing from the shore, we did see people fishing off the boat launch, and then also along the Little Sauble River when we were out on that river trail hike. Like when you go down, you know how there was that part where it's, I can't remember if it was stairs or boardwalk, there was something manufactured.
Yeah.
And then there were people down there. The signage on the trail only mentioned rainbow and brook trout spawning in the river. And then bass and perch are fished for from shore as well, but I'm not sure if they mean from the boat launch or from the river.
Okay.
But that's the sum total of what I know about fishing here. So, discovery program.
So they do run a discovery program, but in July and August. We have not been here in July or August, so we have not seen them.
There is no signage about it either. So I'm assuming that it's pretty much centered around the discovery activity book, because there's not really anywhere. I feel like the parks that have bigger offerings for this, and I'm just kind of spitballing here because I don't know. Whenever I see the parks that have the really like intense programming, they tend to have like an amphitheater or a visitor center or whatever. There's no amphitheater, there's no visitor center.
Yep.
So I'm kind of guessing it's one of the more like light offerings here.
Yes.
You know, Niantic games.
Yeah, we were able to get our daily spins in by going down to the boat launch. There's a few portals around. With the combination of not great cell coverage and not a lot of portals around, if there was an event, we would probably head out of the park and go somewhere else.
I don't know where, though. I don't think we're anywhere nearby. I think we'd have to just suck it up and go to the day use and not really do very well with it.
Yeah, fair enough. But there's a few around if you're into the Ingress or Pokemon Go.
Okay, so now we will talk about educational stuff. The little educational points of interest that they don't cover on the website or the map. First off is the Maloney Homestead. Now, first off, I want to say the signage at the homestead and the signage on the map had two completely different spellings. So
I find that kind of rude. You know
it's like, and yeah, I felt bad writing it because I'm like, I don't want to misname someone, but like, I don't know which one it is. So, anyways, that aside,
if you know which one is correct, please let us know.
There's got to be information out there somewhere.
Yep.
Anyway.
So when you're walking on the trail, you come up upon this. They've got a sign there, and there's a little survey marker there. But the actual homestead site is just kind of a hole in the ground. And it's so old that there are actually trees growing in it, rather large trees. It's not even like, here's the crumbling foundation so much as just, here's a hole. So it's kind of underwhelming what you see. It's really about more reading the history of here's what was here.
Yeah. Then there's the educational garden, which isn't mentioned on the website or the map, so I don't even know if there's a name for it.
Right.
That is kind of at the parking lot for the front gate office thing. It's a little enclosed picnic area. It's got some fenced-in garden displays with some informational signage. I know one gives you archaeological facts about the area, and then there's the concept of the Three Sisters, which is a gardening practice from Indigenous people. That's basically just an efficient way of growing and using plants that are helpful to each other.
Symbiotic.
Symbiotic, that's the word I'm looking for. I am tired. And then there was a snake haven that was installed there. Hibernaculum.
Yeah,
I'm not into that.
I know. I went out to take pictures of it, and I saw that. I'm like, oh, it's probably good that you didn't come out there for it.
I'm not into snakes. Call me indie. Snakes and Nazis, not my thing. Anyway, the lime kiln is along the chain trail, kind of near the south end of Gunpoint.
Yes.
So theoretically, you can see the remnants of an old lime kiln, and there's a sign. So when you're on the trail, there's a sign off to the left if you're coming from the not the Maloney campground. Good God.
Gunpoint?
No, Holmes Bay. When you're walking from our campground down to Gunpoint, it's on your left, right?
Yes.
And there's a sign that says, the kiln is immediately behind you. And there's a big heading that says, more than just a pile of rocks. Yep. So you're looking for something other than a pile of rocks.
And
there's a pile of rocks.
There's a pile of rocks.
But it doesn't even look like, because I don't know if someone messed with it or not, because there is a pile of rocks there. It doesn't necessarily look like it was with intention. You know what I mean? Like, because you know how you can tell when something used to be a structure or whatever? Yes. This looked like not so much.
Right. So once again, the actual visual attraction is not there, but reading about the history, I find interesting.
Yeah. Then there's a Pioneer Cemetery, which is near the entrance of the park on your way out. So it's actually before the office as you're on your way in, but I don't even think you really see it on your way in, do you? No, there's a sign. You can see it. It's a little cemetery with graves of people that passed in the 1800s and the early 1900s.
Yes.
Except, there's one of someone that passed away about a decade ago.
That's an interesting addition.
Yeah, it was weird. So it was just like all these really old ones, and then one like 10 years old. So
yeah,
it was and it was really sad. I remember, because we didn't go this time around, but last time I remembered noting how many were really, really young. Like there were a lot of children buried there. So yay vaccines, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that was it for the educational stuff.
I think it is.
So I guess, hey, we're at final thoughts. What do you think of Inverhuron? What do you think of Inverhuron without mentioning porcupines or merlins?
Oh, I think the park is cute. I think it has some different kinds of trails. It's got the beach. The offerings are there. It's not maybe a major attraction park, but I do like the park.
Except for birding, apparently.
I wasn't supposed to mention the birds that I like the most.
I said, well, still no, but I'm saying down by the rivers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hit migration really well, and those warblers were really cute and everywhere.
Okay, so what do you really think of Inverhuron?
All right, the fact that I know there's a porcupine here that likes me.
We didn't see him the second time, though.
I know, but we have one more night.
Okay.
And the merlin, they were really cool. Around the entire stay here were great. I loved it.
So we need to pick the same campsite every time we come here then, because one time it was a porcupine and one time it's a merlin, and they were both very much like in our campsite. So
yes.
We let the wildlife come to us.
Absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, so we'll definitely be back.
Yeah.
Fully recommend. You know, I guess depending on what you're looking for, you know, like if you're into canoeing, maybe not so much, but
right.
Yeah.
All right, so check out all this information online. We've got our blog article, everything's written. We've got photos and everything nice and coherent and logical up there.
Without the babble, we tend to yammer a bit when we're TLDR. That's the irony of calling this TLDR. It's like you didn't have time too long, didn't read. Well, guess what? You get to listen to us.
While you're on the website, you can subscribe, which doesn't actually give you a newsletter. It just tells you when we post a new post. It just gives you that notification that there's a new post here.
Because I am lazy. So
and like and subscribe us here too, and you can check out more of our TLDRs and our other content that we put out.
Yeah, and we will talk to you again after our next stop.
TLDR.